Okay, so yeah, now we are live. I'm just gonna quickly make a
Hello.
thumbnail. Google for some.
Mm.
How progressives exploit Christian compassion. Oh, there's a book by Ellie. That might be worth it. It depends if this discussion goes well. We might have to look into that a bit more. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems
All
toxic
right,
empathy seems to be a right-wing term. I can see from what I'm looking at. But
And you say, have we got a YouTube video then for this
yes,
week
I've got
as
a YouTube
well?
video with you. I've got the link. I've sent you a link to watch together. So of course, either of us can pause it and start talking, which is I think easier than you telling me.
Cool.
Sydney, could you mind pausing it?
Mm.
What is striking? What is striking enough? Also, I'm going to share my screen to you actually, because I know you was. Yeah, just share my screen to you now.
Meh.
Yeah, sorry, I need to work on it. I need to stop going in a.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
But I want everyone to know what I'm saying about him. You know what I mean?
True.
Honestly, I think this. I think we might just use this image. I think this looks good. This doesn't show toxic empathy at all. Also, you can't. You can see.
Right. What about the one with the heads? That's kind of cool.
Which one? One or two? Or three?
2. What about that? I quite like that.
Yeah, let's save the image. You can see what I've been up to on that board, and nothing special, making radio demos and all that.
Should we add a description as well?
Would you mind adding a description whilst I do this?
Yeah, of course.
Everything else.
We really need to get like a kind of standard subscription.
We do. Copy and paste from last episode, and then just change what's necessary.
All right.
So I think I put a default. Oh, that's a spoiler for upcoming videos. I sent you those three mixes, the pictures of the three mixes at least. If you quite liked them, they look good. I think I didn't even watch the video. First thing I saw on the thumbnail was this graph, which has been used a lot. About like a graph about empathy, which is used a lot in like online discourse between the left and the right. Of like, oh yeah, we're more empathetic. No, we're more empathetic. So on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I saw a tweet by Evan Loves Wolf.
Right.
Oh, God's sake, they really pissed me off.
I
mean, their opinions, you know what I mean? Like, I've had better ones, but it's the fact that you need to prove yourself validation by botting likes, and they always think, no, I don't bot likes. They'll make a post, get 250,000 likes on it, and then they'll respond to the top comment, and then their response will get like 14 likes. I'm like, clearly something's up here.
Right? Yeah.
Apparently, it's like you can buy 1,000 likes for like £1.
Really?
Yeah. I thought the whole thing. My God. Oh, Elon Musk was like, "Oh, I'm going to buy Twitter to get all the bots," and it's still there. So.
Oh, it's worse. I swear.
If all the bots would be gone, oh God, beautiful place. Because of course I have by hand blocked over 1,000 accounts that are promotional ones. Like there'll be like one person who comments 5 different comments on one post, immediate block, or an OnlyFans one. Yeah. They're blocked. I don't want to see that on my page, and also I want to see it. Really, to be honest.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any hope of saving Twitter?
Oh, that is difficult.
Starting off with the hard questions, aren't I?
Yeah, for real. I don't know. I don't. No, that was way too bright. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much hope for Twitter. I think it's just full of bots now, isn't it? Just kind of ruined it. Take like a really weird position on like what to do, and then it's just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really think there is much saving it because it's gotten to the point where like it is just full of bots. And the problem, once it's so full of bots, getting rid of bots kind of sucks because then it's just your engagement goes down.
Yeah.
And a lot of like how the media platform is based, or like how social media is like, how popular it's considered is based off the amount of accounts it has.
Yeah. I can understand that. I'm gonna remove all
Why
the
have you
ones.
got so many tags?
The more tags, the better. You know what I mean? I'm just getting rid of the ones that are dog shit. The ones that like Christian-based ones. Again, nothing wrong. Nothing.
Did you get it to like generate some for you?
Yeah, Tune Pocket is usually pretty good at it.
Okay.
Getting rid of all the Let's go liberal. Keep that. That's good. That's good.
I did like 5.
Gotcha. I'm trying to get rid of all the ones that are like overtly Christian.
Yeah.
What's the point? I don't think it's not
Yeah.
Christian. It's not Christian.
Because it's just someone's going to click on this and then go, oh wait, never mind, it's not
Not
Christian.
what I thought at all. I think it's crashed. Look,
Nope.
I think it crashed because both of us were editing at the same time.
I'm not editing anymore. I'm just watching the control room.
Oh yeah, no, now it works. Now it works. So yeah, the control room. What to say? We've got a million listeners.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
That's the bare minimum we can deserve.
Yeah, really. That is, you know, why would you stream if you don't get 100 billion views every second?
For anything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So do you think we're ready to get in?
Yeah, I think so.
So have you got the link? Did you get the link open up on your device?
Nope. Okay, we're not ready. Wait, I've got the watch together link.
Yes. Oh, that reminds me to stop streaming to you because it's going to drain my resources.
Yeah.
Bring up your.
Yeah, I've got it open.
Cool. And then, do you see a video?
Like LJ. Yeah, I do. The sin of empathy.
Sin of empathy.
The sin of empathy. What is toxic empathy? It says.
Oh, is that the thumbnail? Say that at the beginning.
Yeah. So the title of it is "What is toxic empathy?" and the thumbnail says "The sin of empathy."
So, just so we can give full accreditation, this is done by a YouTuber known as Otaku, I think it is, sort of anime thing.
Okay.
But it seems that they also, it seems from what my research, I mean, the tags I just saw, they be a classical liberal.
Okay. By the way, is it just real quick? I wanted to run it by you. For watching videos, basically, we should obviously accredit them as we just did, but also make sure we watch their adverts if there's like in-video adverts. Do you know?
I've got premium, so it won't work.
No, I don't mean like if it cuts to an ad. I mean if they have like a sponsorship type thing.
Yeah, if they have a sponsorship, I think it's more than fair to play it in full. I think at the end of it, we should also. I'm gonna post it. You know what? I'm gonna post a link now to the thing.
Yeah, nice.
I'll do it again at the end as well. I think that's the bare minimum for them working. Clearly, they must have worked hard on this to create this video. So I think at least we can do.
And if it's good enough for us to spend our glorious time watching it, then it's a pretty good video.
Yes, and we watch a lot of YouTubers too. Probably a bit more so.
I don't know, man. I'm up there. Exclude music, I'm more than you. I reckon.
Yeah, that's probably right. You're probably correct on the money. So yeah, it's done by Short Fat Otaku. This seems. I don't know. I haven't even watched a second of the video. I've not watched none of it, but I'm thinking it's going to be good.
Okay, let's do it.
Right. Let me know if you can't hear anything.
All works.
Oh, nope. The viewers at home can't hear. This is why I check. I forgot to reassign my Brave audience.
All the 0 concurrent viewers.
Hey.
Concurrent.
They deserve it. Let's give it a little listen back so we can get the jazzy loop in. I know.
There's a 2019 study by Jonathan Haidt that I've used several times in my videos, called Ideological Differences in the Expanse of the Moral Circle. The TLDR of the study is that political differences between left and right-leaning people are not simply due to disagreements over policy, but reflect the core psychological differences between the two, where the former's moral concern is universal, covering more groups of people but less structured, while the latter's is parochial, covering fewer groups but more structured.
What do you think, immediately? Do you think that deep down there is more than an ideological difference between left and right?
Well, I mean, no, I mean, I just think like ideological difference is like deep, like because you don't have an ideological difference over which tax rate to set. It's like an ideological difference in terms of like, is taxing and a big government good, or is less tax and a small government good? And that's kind of, but even that's driven by more like an ideological point of view of like, should we intervene with people that need help, or should we let them like help themselves and defend themselves and stuff? And yeah,
let's continue. Ready, 29 seconds.
Basically, left-wing compassion is wide-reaching but shallow, while right-wing compassion is exclusionary but deep. This graph from the study has turned into a meme in right-wing spaces online right now. The whole moral circles don't lie thing.
Seen this one before?
I don't know if I've seen this, but I feel like I've seen like sentiment like it, or maybe other similar images.
Yes, because of course this comes from a study, so other studies, or even just like what's it like?
Or like
you just know it.
Yeah, but or like more like cartoony, easier to read kind of versions, maybe.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen it. These are two heat maps indicating highest moral allocation by political alignment, with the various concentric circles representing distance from the individual. The inner circle, level 1, represents your immediate family. The next circle out, level 2, represents your extended family. 3, your close friends. 4, your distant friends. 5, your acquaintances. 6, anyone you've ever met. 5, all of your countrymen. 8, all people on your continent. 9, all people. 10, all mammals. 11, all animals. 12, all life on Earth. 13, aliens. 14, all life in the universe, including alien plants. 15, all things in the universe, including space rocks. And 16, the entire universe. At first glance, the heat maps appear to show that, on average, right-leaning people allocate their moral concern to those closer to them, their family and friends, while left-leaning people allocate their concern to alien life and space rocks. On the face of it, this data makes right-wingers appear normal, sane, grounded in their communities, while left-wingers appear to be disconnected from reality, having intellectualized their own sense of morality away into a never-ending abstract thought experiment. In some
do you get that opinion get that vibe from this?
I mean, from the data, definitely, yeah. I think as well, like, you could say there's quite a few policies that, like, I don't know, some, I'd say more progressive rather than left people tend to have, like, progressives in particular can tend to be quite, like, yeah, I don't know, more concerned with, like, animal testing than with, like, human suffering and stuff. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think if I think about it, I think I've seen elements on the left where cut off their own arm help save rock. I do sometimes see it on the right as well, where people sacrifice their own life to protect their countrymen. So I think countrymen was level 6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think on the right you see, I've seen people do it to a lesser degree, not caring about inanimate space rocks, but caring more about their country as their family.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, like, I don't know, like implicitly I can understand some things for the country. Sense big of a leap.
Yep.
To do this to help future generations, but then sacrificing the health of your country, the health of the world, that's for a stretch to me.
I mean, like I fully back that. It depends on the sacrifice, really. Like, because if we're saying should we up taxes so that everyone has to pay £1 more, and then all of that goes to a foreign development fund, which helps, I don't know, cure kids of malaria, then yeah, to be honest, that seems like quite a worthy sacrifice for your country to have to make for the betterment of like people in general. But if it was like we should kill ourselves and donate them organs to people suffering elsewhere, like no.
Yeah, but But again,
Yeah.
so what we're doing right now is we are going, oh, well, this is overall, overall. But what about these specific circumstances?
Yeah, sure.
But this as a whole, do you think as a whole, the left are more likely to care about those other to themselves than themselves?
Yeah, and also I think less likely to care about stuff like family.
Which is a shame because,
as well.
like, I don't know, sometimes a family sucks, but they are blood. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but I think also you've got to remember, like, kind of more right-wing ideology is grounded in like family units.
yes,
Like also a lot of people turn left-wing because they themselves have had no family to like back them up and like look after them and stuff. So they've had to go like, oh, look at that, the state like can provide for me and that's good and we need more of that. So
the
yeah,
state be your parent instead, be your familiar.
exactly.
Yeah. We should continue up.
Spaces online, replying to a brain-dead progressive opinion by simply posting the graph has become a pretty common thing to do. The right-wing point of view is that the left has such a strong out-group preference that they will sell out those close to them, betray their own culture and morals, and destroy their own society in order to curry favor with those people who are more distant from them, who are foreigners. In essence, the right views the left as xenophilic, and not completely without reason. It's not hard to find leftoids who say that foreign cultures, languages, and peoples are beautiful or valid, while decrying their own culture as stifling and oppressive. This naturally hooks in very well to Aristotle's view that it's the mark of a tyrant to have men of foreign extraction, rather than citizens, as guests at table and companions.
I've seen this quite a lot recently about
Right.
Starmer, and I think it doesn't fit, but I've been seeing this a lot online.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this, right, you got to remember, so, because a lot of people idealize kind of like the Greeks, right, but you got to remember, there was about like 15% of people that were allowed to vote in like Greek democracies, but also there's like quotes like this, you know, you run into translation issues and like the meaning issues, because, you know, is he trying to say here, like, basically don't let foreign people have a say, or is he trying to say like don't let leaders of other city states have a say, or is he trying to say don't let businessmen from other cities have more of a vote than your individual like citizens that live in your city? Like what's he trying to say, you know?
I think it's different to that. I think it's something along the lines of you know, foreign nationals who like, you know, could like, okay, I think what he's saying is the whole thing of like for the company of aliens back then, not any old fucker can just like travel to a different city or country. It's those who are powerful enough and will probably have some swing in that there. That the tyrant prefers. Do you know what a key is? A key. In like a how to keep a tyrant. I think it's saying like they hate their subjects, but love those with similar power to them.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to make, right? Is like what does he mean kind of by company of aliens? Like, do you know that probably that word, that meaning, the idea of an immigrant has very different meanings given the context.
If Starmer spent more time at G6 than he did at speaking with his other fellow Labour council men and women, is that like a worrying thing? Is that not a good thing?
No, I wouldn't say that's a worrying thing. I think that's a situational thing, right? You know, if we start World War III, I would hope he would spend more time talking to other like politicians and like our allies rather than just meeting with like local council leaders. But the thing is it depends on like the context. You know,
But, you know, we're not in a war right now, and do you not think that Keir Starmer does have an obligation to the country first?
Absolutely, but I do think we are in some sort of a Cold War, and also I think as well, like it becomes an issue if we're going like, right, okay, so today we're going to try and fix the housing problem. I've brought along my friend Macron, the leader of France, to have a say, right? That doesn't make sense. But if he's like, cool, today we're going to focus on what to do with Ukraine, it would not make sense to like be like, and we've brought in the local leader, local like council leader from this place to talk about it. Like, I think that's kind of where it would become worrying, and where it's becoming worrying in like American politics is when you see it influencing foreign adversaries influencing domestic policy.
Yes, yeah. Also, like foreign businesses being here, like I don't think, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right having like French companies own most of the rails in England.
Yeah.
It's not
I
right.
think it's awful. I mean, the energy, like, was it EDF? The French government made a profit off energy prices going up.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But that's privatization, isn't it?
And don't forget, England would rather buy fuel energy from a nuclear country than build their own power plants here, which is always going to be a waste of money. Always.
Yeah.
Because what we're doing is we're not spending enough on these sort of actual ways to get energy. We're focusing on green energy, which is good as a supplement.
Right.
Can't take over the entire grid.
I don't know. I know you're very passionate about your nuclear.
I've studied energy management system. I'm like, not. It's sad because it's just not feasible and have a massive breakthrough with batteries.
Yeah, I think we have to I think a combination of all of them is probably the best.
But it's probably a good rule of thumb. We should probably try and produce our energy within ourselves, because there's no negative in not doing that.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
We're never like, oh, I wish I got France's energy. It's just so much cleaner. Like energy's energy. Like it's signal, simple.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
Let's continue it. We've gone off topic again, haven't we?
Feeling that citizens are hostile, but strangers make no claim against him. What Aristotle meant by this, in part anyway, was that people who all come from the same society roughly understand each other's place within it, while the foreigner has no place in society, and so he's not above or below anyone in its hierarchy. We've probably all noticed that, on average, left-wing people are more likely to excuse offenses made by foreigners that would be unforgivable coming from somebody who's actually from their country. Because the foreigner can be excused. He didn't know any better. But you're from here. You should be educated enough to be a progressive. And
I do see this sometimes where you get like the infantilization of other cultures, and I think it's not good. It's not good for them either. They're fully realized, actualized people. They don't need to be infantilized by left-wing progressives.
Yeah, I mean, but also when you see stuff like that, I think a lot of it's just like people kind of get caught in their ideology, right? Like they're trying to defend immigrants, so therefore they can't accept when an immigrant commits a crime. And the right do the exact opposite, that they're trying to attack immigrants, so they can't accept when an immigrant doesn't commit a crime. Do you know, like that? And they both they're like, do you know what I mean? Or when a national commits a crime, they're like, nah, it's probably an immigrant, and it's like, no, it wasn't. But do you know what? Both sides do it. It's just when you get too caught up in like your ideological sphere and you're like, yeah, exactly. They really did. They got stuck in their own spin.
Only they had this show, then it's it. Boom, they could be enlightened and like know everything like we do. I can't.
Literally.
Right. It's
So you are fully culpable for your actions. The left-wing reply to all of this is to say that the study shows that right-wingers are sociopaths, that the expanded moral consideration of the left is simply a product of their greater abilities to be empathic.
Okay, no. Look, the red, which means the majority of people, conservatives, is up to 7 or 8. 7 or 8 is all people in the country and all people on the continent. How could you be sociopathic? That level of empathy. The main empathy goes towards all people on your continent, and that's not enough because you don't give enough shit about like rocks.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because all people on your continent. Why? Why is because? I mean, that's one of the weirdest ones I think to end it at is people on my continent.
Yeah.
Because why would you care about a European life and not a American life, but you wouldn't mind whether they're German or British? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. You know, if you want to draw a country, I can understand more.
Yeah, country I can understand more. Then, we are a country, but yet also we love Europe. And European culture. I like Europe. I think it's a shit hole, but I like Europe.
No, yeah, I love the idea of I love the EU as well.
So I'm fine with saying that. Yes, I think that's probably that probably would be a good limit.
I don't hold the value of their life any higher. I think that's one of the big differences, right? Is I would probably put myself as all life on the planet, mainly because it does encompass like European life. It does encompass family, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming someone who'd go up to all people in your country, if I gave them a button saying, this will kill one person from Africa but revive one person from your country, they click it. That's the question.
And I think it would be a bit wrong to do that.
Yeah, I think that's implicitly wrong. But that's also because
I can fully understand if someone's saying like, you can revive a family member and some random person dies. Like, yeah.
Like for me, my allocation of funds, I think my allocation of funds for taxes should follow what the Conservatives are. Of it should first of all help out me, should help family, then community, then my country, and then little wisps of like light yellow and blue goes to other countries in the world. You understand what I mean by that, yeah?
Yeah, I can.
As opposed to the other way around, where it's majority of our money goes to the entire world, and then you get fuck all yourself. Help you.
Yeah.
Like I think it makes.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, I don't.
But I don't think that's not the question asked when placing yourself on the graph, right?
No, it's not. It's
like, do you care about? Or it's like, where do you draw the line, or something like that.
It's interesting here. Heat maps indicating your highest moral allocation biology. So basically where. Can we just video because I'll probably explain it to us better actually.
Yeah.
The graph is a bit hard to understand.
And the right is simply stunted, childish, selfish, territorial like a wild animal might be. They often point to differences in brain scans between left-wing and right-wing populations, where right-wingers, again on average, have larger amygdalas, making them more sensitive to threats, and more desiring of security than...
So it is genetic then, being a conservative or liberal?
Could be. I think that's what it's saying. Is there
not in all cases, obviously, but like maybe like majority of the time, probably. Yeah, that makes sense.
It sounds like he's going to disagree with it, though.
Okay, let's do this here.
Left-wingers who have a lowered threat response. This is actually pretty interesting to me, because while the right decries the left as suicidally empathic, unable to recognize obvious threats in the diverse populations they hang around with, the right's heightened desire for security is not at all in line with the personality type of the risk-adverse, self-employed small businessman, whom the right tends to hold up as an example. A now deleted viral tweet proclaiming the moral superiority of the left due to its expanded moral consideration reads as follows. Woke is the stupidest term ever. Being woke literally just means having empathy. There's nothing bad about caring about problems that affect other people but not you. There's nothing bad about empathy. Of course, this isn't what woke means. See my...
Yeah, I mean, obviously woke is different. It's complicated, annoying, and nebulous term. The whole point is Moss and Bailey for both. But like...
Yeah.
Not the whole thing, what they say... Jay, to go back 10 seconds? You just tweet again. There is nothing bad about caring about problems that affect other people but not you. I think I think even those who are anti-woke or even agree to that, I would say like caring is not a good thing to do. It's more putting dolphin lives over human lives. Not a good self-destructive ideology.
Yeah.
Because you're always,
I think, and like, there's gonna be almost no one that supports that, though. I guess it just kind of like depends, right? Because like, so a left-wing person might say like, oh, having like strict immigration, that's killing lives of like immigrants, and that it's just having empathy to have like more relaxed immigration. That's just called empathy. And then a right-wing person would say, but letting immigrants in is killing our people. So therefore, I value the life. So I think, it more kind of boils down to like whether you think the things are affecting your people or not. Because I don't think anyone would say like, oh yeah, I'd rather pick an ant's life over a human's life. But also, I don't think anyone, if asked, would you want to save an ant for nothing, like literally just for free, and they would go, no. You would go, yeah, why not? Like, well, sure. There's no catch to it.
You've got to think about like a is it called Just Stop Oil? They are their attempt is to cripple us to save the environment. Yes, the environment doesn't need saving, but I believe it can be done through human methods instead of halting human progress to save trees, save animals. You know what I mean?
No, but also to save humans. So we're currently on track to hit like I think it's like nearly 1 billion deaths caused by climate change, like human deaths. Climate change will also kill humans. You've never heard that we're on track to hit climate change, like deaths from climate change.
$1 billion. Sorry.
So I've got the WHO is saying about 250,000 deaths in the next 20 years from climate change. Because climate change, right? If that leads to heating up of global temperatures, that leads to not just stuff like heat stroke, but also increased diseases and stuff like that. Rotting bodies, like rot at quicker speeds. Stuff like stagnant water becomes more common.
Yeah, don't forget
malnutrition becomes more common.
I don't know. This is hard because what are we going to do about it? Because of course the climate does change on its own. We are helping speed it up. So
drastically.
Yeah, and
we've got the WEF here saying it could cause 15 million deaths. Okay, I was way off with 1 billion.
Yeah, I was going to say,
but still,
I think I know if 1 billion people died of climate change.
I was way off, but still like in the millions, some things, and other things are saying hundreds of thousands.
Because nope. Who's that?
It's difficult to qualify because it depends on what you qualify as caused by climate change. If there's a crop failure one year and that leads to starvation, do you count that as deaths by climate change or not?
I don't know. It's like those people who go, every death that happens under the capitalistic system is a death by capitalism. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. That's sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are, because I think we're coming out of a glaciation state, right?
Mm-hmm.
An anthropic cycle.
The Earth will be heating up. We're still in an ice age, but yeah, the Earth is heating up.
So when the Earth heats up, let's say we weren't here, we weren't doing any climate change, the Earth would still heat up and then cause these 1 billion deaths or however many. Anyway.
No.
But later on.
Evolution kicks in. So normally we don't see mass extinction events happening just when it shifts from an ice age to not an ice age, because it's slow enough that animals adapt. Plant life, does definitely suffer because it just can't adapt as quickly. But even then, we do see some adaptations, like how plants do survive in the tundra, animals survive in the tundra. It's not like, whereas this, the rate at which we're doing it, animals can't adapt quick enough to it. Like a polar bear can't adapt and evolve to be able to swim before the ice caps melt. So they're just going to go extinct. So what we are in a mass extinction event currently.
This is hard. Ignoring the climate change thing, the climate does change and some animals and things will not survive it. Is it our responsibility? I don't know, but is it right for us humans to meddle, right? And let's say what's the average temperature of the globe? It's like 17 degrees.
Might be 18.
Whatever the average temperature of the world is it like right and moral for us to do that? Keep it at that, no matter what the Milankovitch cycle wants to do.
No, what is moral is for us to mitigate as much as possible human effects of climate change and of heating and cooling.
Yeah, I don't know. Something just feels wrong about it. I don't know what it is. Something feels wrong.
Plus, also, we would incredibly struggle to mitigate, to stop us exiting an ice age. It would be almost impossible for us to do that. It would require so much effort. It would not be worth it.
Yeah.
Because you would see barely anything happening from it. Whereas the point is
you won't see anything. So now we're going to become static.
Exactly. But the speed at which we're coming out of it, we are seeing stuff. And also my point is, whether you care about animals or not, or the planet or not, human lives are dying. So if you care about human life, then we should do something.
I mean, I'm not denying climate change exists. Clearly not. Otherwise, I wouldn't be pushing nuclear. I just disagree on solutions. I think that.
Sure, but and I mean, this is kind of what I was saying before, right? Of like, it completely depends. Because if we're saying should we kill 1 billion humans to stop climate change? No. But if we're saying, should we up taxes by 5% to stop climate change? Yeah, I'm in favor of that. Should we up it by 10%? Maybe. Should we up it by 50%? No, not in favor of that.
What about?
Do you know what I mean? There is
not upping the taxes on climate change, but instead investing our tax money into technology to reverse climate change, carbon recapture.
Yeah, and we are currently doing that stuff.
Yeah, but if you had to, if Keir Starmer went to you, it's like, you're my top G, all right? Pick. Which one are you picking?
Pick what? What are my options?
Either we're taxing things that produce carbon to tax climate change, or our money's putting more money in for Sorry, you just disappeared. You lagged out and then you weren't there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, my thing incredibly lagged.
Sorry.
I didn't hear any of that. Sorry.
Yeah. Either Keir Starmer said we're going to tax climate causing things, companies, or money's going into climate recapture. Which one are you choosing?
Taxing companies that are polluting.
Because for me, it feels more moral for the other way around. I don't know why.
Sure. But I think given we have a huge deficit, given that debt is over 100% of GDP, given that we're trying to increase defense spending, given that we're having to make welfare cuts and stuff like that, I think we should tax more in general anyway.
Yeah, I can understand your view. Did your video anyway.
Yeah.
I'll click play.
Means having empathy. There's nothing bad about caring about problems that affect other people, but not you. There's nothing bad about empathy. Of course, this isn't what woke means. See my video on the
No, awful Wi-Fi at the moment.
I can tell you're getting a bit stuttery, Sat.
Yeah.
Bin? Sorry, viewers.
I might as well be. Honestly, today I was getting 8 kilobytes a second of internet speed.
8 whole kilobytes? What the fuck, Mr. Rich Man?
8 kilobytes
What?
of download and 3 of upload.
Tragic.
At one point, I'm pretty sure this was just a mistake, but at one point it was just saying it in bytes. It was saying like you have 30 bytes a second. And I was like, that cannot be true.
You pay for your internet yourself, or do you get it like bundled with?
Paid. We pay £30 a month for it.
£30 a month for fuck all.
Yeah. Normally, it's not as bad as this.
What time was it?
It's been really bad. That was about 11 a.m.
Okay, so that's before peak time as well on the internet. After this, I'm gonna send you a product.
Ooh, okay.
30 quid it'll cost you, if that. And you'll get the maximum speed you're promised.
Well, like a one-time 30 thing.
Yeah, one time 30. It's a repeater. Actually, I might have a spare one. I might just bring it. I want it. Give it to you. It's me doing my toxic empathy. Sorry, I care more about myself than you. I'm sorry. Anyway, have you realized the Watch Together page?
Yeah, it's working now, I think.
Woke for that.
Yeah, cool.
But even if we're talking colloquially and not politically, woke originally came from Black vernacular, and it simply meant to be aware of social issues, especially with regards to race. The connection to empathy there is kind of tenuous. So, which of these two views of the heat map is the truth? Are left-wingers actually idealistic sheltered children who have misplaced empathy for everyone and everything, and they're constantly having their feelings hurt by a cold, harsh reality? Or are right-wingers not empathetic enough, ignoring injustices or sometimes outright causing them, because their moral circles are so restrictive that they actually fail to recognize other people as people? Well, on the extreme ends of the spectrum, both of these things are true. It's not hard to find some communist who sees virtue in his own self-destruction, or some reactionary who's willing to strip away the rights of people who aren't sufficiently like him. But beyond those fringes, the conversation's actually a lot more complicated. To start off with, when the rightoids cite this graph, they often get it wrong. Here's an example of what I mean. Intensity equals consideration. This means prioritization, which translates to intensity of allegiance. If one's moral allegiance is greater to a foreigner than their own family because they abstract the foreigner to represent the whole of man, that means they're willing to sacrifice familial and friendship ties in service of their moral ideal. This is actually incorrect. That is not what the study says. I don't blame people for thinking that it does, though. Lots of people get this wrong. I've gotten it wrong in past videos. Sargon even kind of got it wrong in his video on this topic.
The Liberals' constituency of greatest moral concern were the preposterous categories of 12 to 15.
Though he did get it right a couple sentences.
Was
Is that the guy from the Lotus Eaters?
Yeah, it is actually. I just recognise the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, bring it. We're circling back. Also, weird chance. I have picked 2 videos I think in my lifetime. Both of them. Yeah, sure. And we were talking about them this morning as well, weren't we? Talking about how we want our show to look as good as theirs does. 'Cause that's a fucking again. Ignore the politics.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is stunning.
Can we stop swearing on a serious political? But yeah, any points to mention, add, or disagree with so far? Right, we're in. Back in then.
Yeah.
Later.
Liberals were more likely to weigh the moral value of outgroups and ingroups as equal, with conservatives as the opposite.
For the people who actually contributed their answers to the study, this is what they were given. Notice that it says, please select the extent of your moral circle, meaning not the location where you place the majority.
So this is kind of like what I was saying earlier, right? Is that I feel like it's about like how far out do you extend morality to? How far do you care about? In which case, I would do everything but the inanimate object one, because if it was like you can save an alien life at no cost, then I would. But I wouldn't go, nah, it's not. I don't care about it morally. I have no feelings about it. Like I would still try to save an alien life, right? So I think it's fair, like, because I think everyone's kind of characterized it as which one do you value the most. But then, if that was the case, surely everyone's answer should be all of your immediate family. Surely that's the thing you care about the absolute most, is the closest people to you.
Yeah, that's true. I think if this was done, if I was to do this study, I'd give like each person 100 pennies, right? 18 categories and go assign the money to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
We should. If I did like second year, might message them. Here is a brilliant one there's no ethical issues with that. I think you can get some really interesting results with that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I'd probably assume that most people would probably go, probably the first 60, maybe first 80%, first 60% for a liberal would go to everything up to all people in the country. Maybe first 80% of the money would go to all people in the country for someone who's more conservative.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be interesting. Like, knowing me, I'd probably go anything after 10, all mammals, I would give a penny each. Simple as.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to think about doing that, actually. Sorry, let's continue the thing, but I really like that idea.
Moral concern, but rather the outer limit of your moral concern. Most people look at the heat map and think, where it's more red is where there's more moral concern. Therefore, righties place more moral concern on lower numbers than higher numbers, and lefties place more moral concern on higher numbers than lower numbers. But that's not what this study is actually measuring. The form explicitly points out that the number you select includes the numbers below it as well, meaning if you select 10, all mammals, you are also selecting 1 through 9. So when our guy here, Bugman Hagel,
also, just to interrupt once more, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
That is what they say the limit of their moralness is.
Yeah. In practice, it's probably very different.
Probably the conservatives will have some will have some stuff with that to help those of other countries, and then liberals will probably not want to save a rock. They'll be like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Claims the heat map shows the left has a greater moral allegiance to the foreigner than his own family. That's not true. Rather, the graph shows that both the left and the right have moral consideration for their family and friends, but on average, only left-leaning people additionally have moral consideration for others outside of their own friend group. Basically, the study doesn't show what you care about most. It shows what the maximum boundary of your care is. As far as I can tell, there's nothing in the data that shows that left-leaning people care about the lowered number circles less than the higher numbered ones. In fact, if we return to the study where the meme came from and check out figure 1, we can actually see some evidence of the opposite. This measures love of family, love of friends, and love of everyone else, based on political alignment. The red line represents love of family. And yes, on average, the more right-wing you are, the more you love your family. The left scored a little bit lower, for reasons that I think are interesting, but are a topic of another video. Just as predictably, on the blue line, the love of...
What? Another video? This is the other video. Why do you think?
I reckon it's probably because, like what I said earlier, people without strong family units tend to be more left-wing because they don't resonate with someone preaching about family values. If they didn't grow up with a family, you're not going to resonate as much with family values, potentially. I reckon it's well, that. Also, I reckon people tend to be more liberal as they're younger and don't have a family of themselves. In particular, we kind of see a big peak in liberalism in your like early 20s when you're going off in the world onto your own without your family, not having a family of your own. You're fighting for yourself. Yeah.
I wonder when you get when you get a family, which you will. Right. I wonder how you're going to change politically. Be interesting to note of.
Yeah,
I
hope
think the second you look into your son's eye, you're going to go.
Yeah, and I will, but I have that about other people anyway.
Yeah,
like I have that about Millie and stuff, but I'm not gonna I don't know. I'm not gonna.
But how would you rank it? Love of family, friends, and others. Where would you rank them? Because I personally, I'd say I'd love of friends goes above love of family, but I think it's because I've got enough family. You know what I mean? I've got enough. I've got shit tons. I don't need any more.
I would say love of family top because for me, family isn't about blood. You get to pick your family. So family includes my closest friends.
Getting all sappy. Oh, Sidney, you're basically like my father, aren't you?
Oh, well, I didn't say. Do you think you're a close friend of mine?
Sorry, yeah.
You see, I just class you as an acquaintance.
If that.
So it goes family, friends, my country, other people, Sidney.
Brock
Right
there.
That. Yeah, blade of grass.
all other people. The right scored lower while the left scored higher. No surprises there either. However, the green line, love of friends, it's actually pretty close all the way through. Center right scores the lowest, with center and center left being slightly higher, far right being slightly higher than that, and far left being slightly higher still. If the heat map meme were accurate as the right wing uses it, it would show that they prefer their friends more than the left does, and the data just doesn't bear that out. However, the larger moral circle doesn't simply mean that left-leaning people are just better at empathy or morality or something. That they...
I'm still thinking. I'm gonna go back 10 seconds so you don't miss this point he's making. But it's showing here that the more extreme you are, the more you care about your family, your friends, than others. And then extreme left is don't care, quote marks, about family, but I love everyone. And the other way around, it's I love my family and I don't really care about. But either way,
I'm guessing with that green line, what you're seeing is it ranges between 5.5 and 5. Like I reckon it's just statistical anomalies.
But do you think this? I can probably understand the idea that if you're an extremist, you're probably going to have more closeness with friends because your friends are probably more likely to be extreme compared to your family, who would most likely be moderate.
Maybe, potentially, yeah. But if we see, like, with the liberals, you've got others and friends the same. And then if you're extreme right wing, you've got actually friends a little bit above family. Yeah, I can see it. I know what you mean. Yeah, the more dug into your view you are, the less accepting you are of people with other views.
Which will probably be in your family, because your family will hopefully have lots of people with viewpoints.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Interesting. I hope he didn't pick up on that. And I'm there like giga-braining this.
Slightly higher still.
I think I'm pausing.
Slightly higher still. If the heat map meme were accurate as the right wing uses it, it would show that they prefer their friends more than the left does, and the data just doesn't bear that out. However, the larger moral circle doesn't simply mean that left-leaning people are just better at empathy or morality or something, that they somehow have this wider capacity to care about others, or a deeper well of consideration to draw from, though some people on the left have taken to interpreting the data that way. The left-wing response to the right-wing view that lefties simply love foreigners and hate their families and their culture and themselves is to say that moral concern is not a zero-sum game. It's their view that people don't just run out of empathy or something. For example, you don't love your children less because you love your husband or wife more, and you don't suddenly have extra love to hand around because you had a falling out with a friend or something. Rather, each individual has a separate and independent level of concern that you allocate to. This position was expressed.
Yes, that's why I was saying with the whole thing about having pennies. That's when it is a zero-sum.
Yeah.
You have a finite amount of care. Probably what you have realistic in time, mind in your infinite amount of out, infinitely.
Yeah, sure.
Expressed most concretely by the Slate Star Codex guy, who said, "I went on a walk and saw a child drowning in the river. I was going to jump in and save him when someone reminded me that I really should care about family members more than strangers. So I let him drown."
Wait, sorry, what was it playing for you? It didn't play for me at all. It's just skipped to 8:15.
Yep.
By the Slate Star Codex guy, who said, "I went on a walk and saw a child drowning in the river. I was going to jump in and save him when someone reminded me that I really should care about family members more than strangers. So I let him drown." Which, of course, was replied to by posting more heat map memes, rather than actually grappling with his objection. Memes are funny, but they're not answers to real questions, so let's actually consider it. Going back to the original study again, right after the heat map, which is labeled as Figure 5, but is Study 3A in the text, you can find this passage. One caveat to Study 3A is that we constrain the number of units the participants could assign to each group, forcing them to distribute moral concern in a zero-sum fashion, meaning the more concern they allocate to one circle, the less they allocate to another. To examine whether a similar pattern would emerge without this constraint, we conducted Study 3B to test whether the effect would replicate using unlimited units. Right. Even when their allocations were not constrained, the same pattern replicated such that liberals distribute empathy towards broader circles and conservatives distribute empathy towards smaller circles. And then Figure 6 shows this data, where even when the study explicitly says you have an unlimited amount of moral concern this time around, the right wing applied their moral concern more locally and the left wing applied it more universally. What this is, if we ever got those fancy post-scarcity Star Trek replicators and could help
out. I wanted to make a
would be more likely to want to do.
Wait, mine's still playing.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to script back a bit to that graph.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at that graph, can you see it as well? Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's a difference. Liberals and conservatives understanding when they meant you have an amount to give out. Because
sure, maybe.
If I had an I would give 1 point each for each of my family members, 1 point each for all of my friends. But then, of course, I've got more friends and family. Therefore, more points would go to them. Because eventually, at stage 9 or whatever, I've got all the points for my every single person on the earth. That's 9 billion points. Now, it's not saying that I don't care about... I care about those 9 billion people more than I care about my family. But it's like care of the individual person. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Okay.
Because you have infinite points. So this one's saying like, literally like, don't worry about, the more you care for a foreigner, the less you have to care for your family. And people are still going, yeah, but I care for my family more. I don't care about the foreigner as much.
But let's say I cared about each and every single life equally.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my life, in the world, equally. That would mean they're about 10 points for family, 20 points for my friends, 9 billion for person. But me, I care a lot more about friends than I do people. So, wait, what do I put number? Maybe I'm just...
But basically, what this graph is, it's saying like, so say if you're a conservative, you're saying, yeah, I like non-humans. Yeah, I care about non-humans. 0.12% of the time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated graph. I mean, let's say it goes very liberal. They're saying that about 60% all of their care humans and 40% non-human.
Right.
Very conservative is about 80.
No, but isn't this the one where you have infinite? So isn't the question here just, do you care about humans? Do you care about non-humans?
I don't know if you can put it down to just that.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
Portion of moral
Now-
allocation.
Yeah, it's bloody stupid of me to say.
No, I mean it's complicated. This is because we're dealing with the mind and thoughts and feelings.
Mm.
It's not the easiest to actually understand in numbers. Vibes
Yeah.
based. The whole point is vibes.
Mm.
Put the video up again. Say a bit more.
Applied it more universally. What this means is, if we ever got those fancy
Is it paying
post-scarcity Star Trek replicators and could house,
So
feed,
much
and
trouble this bloody thing. Why didn't you click?
It's not working. Ah,
Wi-Fi?
I know. I can't do anything about it, man.
Again, look, you're coming.
Yeah, I think I froze once.
Yeah, once.
It's literally not even reloading now. Alright. Show in the room. Cool.
clothe everyone with minimal effort. Left-leaning people would be more likely to want to do it, and right-leaning people would be more likely to not want
It's
to do it.
starting over. Oh, okay. No, okay, cool. It's good. It's good. It's cool out
925?
now.
But what it also means is that right-leaning people, even in times of extreme abundance, still focus their moral consideration on more local spheres. Probably because they believe, correctly I think, that the good times don't last forever. A storm is always on the horizon, no matter how far out. You should always stockpile away a little bit of excess for a rainy day, and help those people who are closest to you because they'll be the ones who help you when you need it. In essence, the right is simply more community-focused than the left is. Again, very broadly speaking. This actually reminds me of a video I made years ago, where I documented an argument that I was having with a socialist, who believed that saving up a bit of extra for a rainy day was reactionary, because in the socialist utopia, everything will be micromanaged such that bad times will simply never exist. Of course, in the real world, both positions have their virtue. The right-wingers understand that fate and fortune move in cycles, and when you've hit a breakaway, you should prepare for the next time the hammer comes down. The left-wingers understand that other people in other places aren't actually that different from us. They still need food and shelter and clothing. They still care about their kids, and want to see them grow up healthy and happy, and take a respectable place in their society, even if what that place is differs from culture to culture.
That's why I can't go. I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
Go extreme. I'm not allowed to enjoy the fruits of my labour. Bad might happen. Grindstone working, hiding away.
Yeah, and I think, but more than like it's about enjoying fruits of your labor, I think this bit's more about like, should you start donating your money to charity? Because what if you fall on hard times again? Then you need the money, and how much do you keep before? How much do you have before you go? Cool, I've got enough.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I'm not in the financial. Think about it because I have.
Yeah.
That money I earn per month is full. If I gave anything to a charity, broke.
Yeah.
Any.
I still give to charity though. I live off just student loans, and I still give to homeless people. Yeah, just student loans. Well, my parents also pay my rent.
Oh, okay.
Student loans to live off. Yeah. No, I'm not exactly hard up for a student, not by any means, but yeah.
I've met people harder up, but I mean, not living it easy, especially.
I used to like with when I was at college and stuff. I used to I had £100 a month my parents would give me for like lunches and stuff like that.
I remember.
Yeah, very generous.
Very
but
sharing. I like to share.
Yeah, but I used to give away like a solid like £10 a month, £20 a month to like homeless people.
That's a co-op.
Yeah, the guy outside co-op. Yeah, loved him. What a lad. What great.
When I gave him food though, anyone?
Yeah. I think give him money.
Yeah.
I want to be paid in money. I should pay others in money.
I mean, I paid him in gingerbread. Fucking happy. A check of here's your work for the day. Bottle of shit on gingerbread. I love gingerbread.
Shit, I can't make rent tonight, but at least I've got gingerbread.
I can make my own gingerbread house. I'm winning.
People from other parts of the world aren't simply unknowable to us. Rightist frugality is neither superior nor inferior to leftist empathy. They both have their time and place, where deploying one and setting aside the other is appropriate. Nonetheless, I like Taftaj's take on the whole thing. The fact that liberals and conservatives both believe this graph proves their moral righteousness is great evidence the data is right. Basically what she's saying is, even though the heat map data doesn't actually completely say what the heat map meme says it does, the fact that right-wingers use the meme to say that leftists have an extreme out-group preference to the point of lacking self-preservation, while left-wingers use the meme to say that rightists lack the ability to understand moral concerns beyond their own sphere, and so they are morally inferior, means that both groups accept the validity of the meme's underlying message, even if that message is not in line with the data. They both accept the meme's characterization of the two sides. They simply view their position within the meme as the correct one, and the other position as incorrect. So Taftaj says there's probably something to it. Remember that whole,
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue. This is, conservatism and being left and right wing is product of your environment and your maybe genetics too. Most average people will start off clueless, go left, go right a bit, end up a little, maybe then 50-50 afterwards when you go into retirement.
Yeah.
And basically the whole argument is arguing between people at different stages of their life, not being able to understand, or going, I used to be like that, but now I'm better. Going to change again. So like.
Yeah, fully.
It's I think that's why I think this argument is probably useless. Sorry for bringing up something completely useless.
No.
There's nothing wrong with empathy shitlord thing from earlier. That is technically true. Having empathy is a normal part of the human experience. It is natural to see other people suffering and feel something. At the same time, there's a ton of people out there who seek to manipulate your empathy to get you to agree to things that are otherwise actually pretty bad. For example, leftists regularly virtue signal about the current trend with very safe, slogan-friendly opinions, an action that costs them little and allows them to reap social rewards. They blast right-wingers for their bigotry, whether it's real or imagined, because being a bigot is bad and being against bigotry is good. But the more you think about this, the more complicated it gets. For example, let's go back to Old Reliable. Are you for trans rights? I guess, should trans people have rights? Like human rights all people have because they're human? Sure, of course, that seems obvious to me.
Is there a debate between us two?
Clearly
clearly not.
Trans people should have human rights.
Last I checked, they're human. So
Yeah.
When they say trans rights, they don't simply mean the set of rights that non-trans people also have, but rather other things that you may or may not agree with. On the one hand, there is no argument to ban transitioning for adults. They're adults, the government should leave them alone. Even if you personally disagree with it, it's their body, their life. It's none of your business what they do. But should the government ban transitioning for children? Well, now the topic is a lot more contentious. But to the trans activist, both of these things are bundled within the package of trans rights. And if you reject part of the package, even if you accept the other parts, you must simply hate trans people. You don't think they should.
You know what that argument is, that technique is called?
No.
Motte-and-baileying. I learnt this term and I say it all the time. So, how well are you good at your history?
I'm alright.
Yeah, so do you know what a Motte and a Bailey are?
No.
You know what? Let's just do. I can't remember the order. Keep remembering. All right. So, a motte is like a fortress thing on a hill, right? On a hill.
Yes. Yeah,
very
I do
easily,
know that.
Very easily defendable.
Yes, the keep almost thing.
Yes, and the Bailey is the lower ground. It's
yes,
harder. So basically, it's switching up before. So the motte is the trans rights. Simple. Yeah, that makes
easy to defend position.
Easy to defend, and the Bailey is the harder to defend point. And it goes, well, if the motte is the Bailey, and the Bailey, like, let's say, like, this is one unit, so you can't disagree with this. Right. They'll be retreating to. If you disagree with the Bailey, people will resort back to the motte and go, you can't say no to this.
You can't disagree with the Bailey because of the motte. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's I don't know how to effectively argue against someone who's motte-and-baileying, apart from just saying you're motte-and-baileying. Because then they go, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Because like simple as. They go, yes, because it's the.
That's the whole point of like logical fallacies, right? If you point out someone's logical fallacy, they should either change their argument. If they don't, then they're arguing in bad faith. You just don't carry on the conversation.
I don't know if they're always arguing in bad faith.
Well, they are. If you point out, oh, you're motte-and-baileying now, and you explain what that means, like if they don't know, right? And then they just go, yeah, so what, I am. Then it's like, okay, you're not then actually having a discussion with me. You're just trying to like gotcha me. You're just trying to catch me.
But, like, okay, for something as important and hot buttoned, and emotion filled as trans rights. They'll go, yeah, of course I'm doing this sort of such an important and valuable thing. Like, this is.
But every conversation that needs to be had about trans people can be defended on its own.
Yeah.
And you don't need to Mott and Bailey at all in order to defend it. Let's say like toilets, right? You don't need a single Mott and Bailey to say like, oh, but they're humans and they deserve human rights in order to defend that people should be able to use whatever toilet they want to use.
Yeah.
You don't need that. So if you're having to resort to that, that means they're not arguing in good faith.
Yeah, and also, if someone's Mott and Bailey, doesn't mean that their Bailey is not valid. Because maybe they just don't know or don't have to defend the Bailey correctly, but they know how to defend the Mott.
Exactly. So they just fall back to the Mott. And I think, like, one thing people need to learn to do is, like, that I think is crucial, is be able to go, oh, yeah, you're right. Look, maybe I don't have a strong enough defense for the Bailey yet. Let me go away and think about it and come back to you. So maybe you haven't thought about, oh, why should trans people be able to use whatever toilet they want to use? Oh, well, you know what? Let me come back and think about it. You shouldn't just go, oh, but human rights, no?
That's the best way for any sort of debate to end that.
Right, though. Exactly.
It's
just go, look, you know what? I don't know. You've caught me in I'm a bit stuck here. Go away, think about it. Come back to you in a week.
That's like, and then it keeps going. Because of course, most conversations, most arguments should be done. But you know what I mean? Like, they're relaxing. They're not like that. Yeah. They're not that serious. Or even
in a casual way. Yeah.
I mean, they are serious, but they're not like. Shouldn't have to be all like going mental over these sort of things.
The point of a debate isn't to win. It's to convince the other person.
Yes.
And no one has ever convinced the other person by going, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. No one's ever gone, like, being convinced when someone does that to them.
Almost as if dominating someone makes them hate you.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, doing these sort of argumentative techniques will lead to going out of the way to hate on the Mott. Just to be the opposite to you.
Yeah.
If you ever catch me Mott and Baileying, you will get me out on that, all right?
100%.
Thank you.
100%. I will now that I know what it means.
Thank you. I'm just teaching you how to argue with me even better now. Fuck. I've kept that secretly.
Should have rights. You're not extending your moral consideration to them as fellow human beings. Therefore, you lack empathy. In this way, the leftist expanded moral circle is positioned as the superior morality, with right-wingers being restrictive and oppressive in their exclusion. And since the leftist moral system extends out far beyond trans people, and in fact covers all forms of human difference, you get wacky exchanges like this, where the YouTuber Technicals was talking about some drama in the animation community, where two people had a polyamorous relationship, and still one of them cheated on the polycule. Seeing a cheating scandal in a polyamorous relationship is like seeing a fat kid at a buffet. Good luck on your weight loss journey or whatever. So you're like polyphobic? Excuse me, I believe the word you're searching for is normal. I think normal people have empathy. What does empathy have to do with any of this, little bro? Oh, criticizing the on-the-face hilarity of cheating in a fucking polycule is apparently bullying, because you recognize a difference in behavior between two demographics, and the empathetic route is to view those differences as socially imposed. But since you're making fun of them, your view of their sexual dysfunction makes you a right-wing shitlord chud. Do you guys recall when AOC...
What do you think? Because I mean, like, I guess technically polyphobia is like a big deal, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean...
But I'm only saying that because I don't agree with polyamory as a lifestyle that's correct for me.
It is different, isn't it? If I say like, oh, like I'm not polyamorous, I'm monogamous, I believe in monogamy. I think it's important. I wouldn't be okay if my partner cheated on me, and I wouldn't cheat on my partner. But if you have open relationships, go for it, man.
Yeah.
I don't see why it should be anyone else's business ever.
But the original tweet was saying, nugget of truth was that person believes that a polyamorous relationship is just a monogamous relationship with allowed cheating.
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
view that all relationships should be under this.
Well,
This should be this way.
if that's how you view it as like allowed cheating, that's not like polyphobic to say that. I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, and it was clearly a joke that didn't really. It wasn't like
Hmm.
harming it. It wasn't there to like hurt
Hmm.
anyone there because it was like I can make a good
Also,
comparison. That's
I
funny.
think more importantly, it's not saying like, you shouldn't be polyamorous because of that, or don't let your friends be polyamorous or something. Like, it's just like allowing people to cheat. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's like allowing to. Let's continue because I can't say her name. AOC.
Did that photo op back during Trump's first term, where she posed crying for the cameras. Lefty media back then ate that shit up and made the photos out to be like she was peering through the fence into an ICE concentration camp, watching the extermination of little brown kids right before her very eyes. And everyone was blasting Trump for making her cry and how terrible it all was. And then it turned out that she actually wasn't even looking at anything at all. It was just the fucking road leading into Mexico. And on the other side of the fence was a protest of people who had no legal right to enter into the states, nonetheless demanding to be let in. These photos were often paired with other unrelated pictures from different times and places, of random foreign-looking people enduring various hardships, usually coupled with the demand that if you're a good person, you'll feel empathy for these people. And if you feel empathy, that means you must do as they say, which means let them in, even if it's illegal. Once again, the right wing replied with memes. I recall seeing this one floating around back then, and now that illegals are getting deported again, it's making a comeback. It's an MS Paint drawing of a crying brown guy with the caption, 14 heartbreaking photos that'll make you say fuck having borders and law and shit. This is a common position among left-leaning people who weaponize empathy.
What? Left-leaning.
It's like a right-wing. No, it's a right-wing perspective making fun of a left-wing perspective.
Before we give our opinions on that, let's wait till Short Track Attacker. There we are. Wait till they give their opinion, then we'll give ours. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares about law or procedure or the Constitution or status or sovereignty? None of that human-made shit matters in the face of actual suffering. Also, their suffering requires that you let them in, give them a bunch of money, and let them do whatever they want. The craziest example of this attitude isn't actually American. But again, if you've been following these various migrant crisis stories, you'll probably remember this one from back in 2017, where there was a group of migrant children in Sweden who apparently fell into coma-like states, where the only cure for their condition was a residency permit. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so that's like bullshit.
Yeah.
That's just bullshit. And I don't know. We talk about immigration quite a lot. It's very complicated, and I think that meme effective. One of the effective memes used by the right, definitely. Go against those who are 100 open. You're not at that position. You can complete.
No, I think in theory sounds lovely. We should live in a world where people live wherever they want to live, but also it's not practical and it's not doable. And yeah,
it will not make sense with
practicality. No, utopian society. Yes.
Yeah, with the system, the UK at the moment where government will give assistance to people. The government can 8 billion people. Effectively.
It could.
Billion people. 8 billion.
Yeah, because that's 8 billion people's tax revenue.
Okay. I'm under the assumption I'm talking about those who come here and they come here, but they're a net negative.
A net drain. Most immigrants are not a net drain. Most immigrants provide.
Yeah, most do. But again,
because most people who are immigrants are of working age. Yeah.
Again, most UK so much resources and so much infrastructure for resource allocation.
Sure, yeah, exactly. And it takes time to like catch up on like building new motorways and enough housing to put people's. That's why I'm saying like practically I'm not for it, but theoretically all for it.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm thinking about it. I mean, when we go to like full on like Star Trek, one world government, big one,
Love a one world
complete peace,
government,
and teleporters anywhere, to anywhere, then yeah, fine.
Mm.
What's a negative?
Yeah.
I'm just considering this again. It's quite relevant. But yeah, what do you think about the only known cure for them coma?
No, yeah, it's just rubbish. Yeah.
How about this one, Chief? What ties all of this together is a concept known as toxic empathy. That is when a person, generally a leftist, makes appeals to empathy to get other people to fulfill increasingly more intrusive demands. And if you object to the intrusion, it can't be for any of the reasons that you might actually have. It's because you lack empathy. And if you lack empathy, that means your circles of moral consideration are restrictive. You don't view those other people as actually being people, and therefore you're a right-wing bigot, which of course makes you a Nazi. Once again, this reminds me of another conversation I had. More recently.
This guy's got a hatred of the left, I can tell that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a fan of the left.
No. And is he being that critical on the right?
A little bit, not as much.
No,
but
not
he's not being completely partisan.
No,
but
again, it's impossible.
But he's not exactly bipartisan, you know.
Maybe this is like I don't know, looking at this picture, if it looks like him, I don't know, he's what, 30, 40?
Yeah.
I'd say it's more typical reaction we'd hear from that age bracket than what we would hear. We're in our little bubble of 20-year-old.
But also someone who seems like very online and stuff. Like, look at the thing in the background: list of evil words and concepts. Chivalry is the first one I can see. Merit, tradition. So he's definitely like a bit of a right winger, at least, who is going like, what's it like, the cancel culture?
Maybe not. He's a bit of a right winger, but he's very much anti-left.
Yeah, could just be that, but yeah.
Recent this time, where a few weeks back a leftoid over on Blue Sky made the claim that a country having any immigration standards whatsoever is fascist. I'm not talking about highly restricted.
But aside from that, ideology is a rubric. Student protesters absolutely. Now again, he's misrepresenting what it just said there. It's not fascist for a country to have standards who is allowed in, even if it is standards. Oh, I mean it is. He's saying that. Okay, no, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Actually, he's not misrepresenting. It is. Again, this is one dude with 4 likes. 5 people like their own post.
Yeah.
Still, like. No.
He's implicit. I think it depends on the standards. I think it's wrong to say it's not fascist for a country to have standards for who is allowed in, even if you disagree with those standards. It could be fascist if it depends on the standards, or like maybe not fascist because like people use fascism as just like a word that means bad, but like
anti-left.
Yeah, sure, but like it's incredibly racist to have a standard that says we don't let non-white people in, right? You know, it's just because but it's just a standard. It's a poor defense of standards, but also his point is, I think what he's trying to make is having a border and saying we want to let not everyone in. That isn't inherently fascist, but you know, let's say going something like I don't want to let the Jews in, that is incredibly anti-Semitic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends entirely on the standard. But also what the other guy said, like it is also wrong. Because if the standard is we want people that will work, that's not fascist to say that, right? Or like wrong to say that, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so in our system, either agree with me or on, like I can. There are systems leave government money back.
Yeah,
there are.
Yeah, there is.
Now, I have access to this. I'm in this country.
Yeah.
I've gotten through the border or been born within the border to have access to this thing. So, is it unfair not allow every single foreigner to do the same? Come in here and become a negative if they want to.
Yeah.
Is unfair.
Yeah. It is a little bit unfair. Well, it is inherently unfair.
It is. It is unfair.
I mean, this argument I had with my parents one time, which is that like justness and fairness are different. You can argue it's just, but it's definitely not fair. It's not fair to say based on where you're born is what like welfare state you should be given. That's not fair. But like, is it on us to do something about it? Not necessarily.
I want to add to your point very slightly. I think
yeah,
not where you were born, which influences what welfare state, what community. Right, I don't believe in this fucking magic sword. A country is just a collection. Changes. Culture around it is carried by the people. Culture is not. It's not inherent within the dirt. It's inherent within the.
Kind of, but also like what I mean by that, right, is by virtue of being born in the UK, I have access to one of the best education systems in the world.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you in any form. I just don't.
Yeah.
Britain isn't so great because of. It's so great.
No, yeah,
because of the people within it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Restrictive standards. I'm not talking about standards that exclude specific ethnicities or religions or political affiliations. The mere existence of a border or an immigration policy, or necessarily of the government itself.
Like, I'm not talking about standards about religion, ethnicity thing.
Immutable characteristics. Yeah.
Yeah. Then cool. Yeah. Then I would say it's not racist or anything.
Is somehow fascist. Man. And the right always tell me that the left is somehow pro-state. Doesn't look like it to me. Toxic empathy is basically when a leftist considers themselves to be superior because of their expanded empathy, as per the heat map meme, and uses their superiority to attempt to browbeat others into taking up their moral positions.
Oh, okay, because I thought toxic empathy was when you're so empathetic towards other people that you're actively harming yourself or your community. Not like that.
Right, yeah. I kind of
toxicity coming from...
It's just toxicity based around empathy, right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pushing them more leftward as a result. The craziest faction of the right wing has responded by declaring empathy to be sinful. No, really. The phrase sin of empathy went viral a couple weeks before the heat map became a meme. After that, one female bishop gave Trump a dressing down in the post-inauguration prayer service that happens after every presidential election at the Washington National Cathedral. This post is what kicked it off. Do not commit the sin of empathy. This snake is God's enemy and yours too. She hates God and his people. You need to properly hate in response. She is not merely deceived, but a deceiver. Your eye shall not pity. There's a larger conversation here that, again, is beyond the scope of this video. But
again, yeah, I don't want to get into that. A lot more about Christianity. Every time I do that, I will sound like I'm preaching.
Yeah.
If you go very far right in the discourse right now, much further to the right than Trump is, you will find a group of people who think that Christianity is basically this cucked, progressive, sometimes they throw in Jewish religion, preaching forgiveness and love towards the downtrodden, prostitutes and lepers, and they believe that society should adopt other spiritual traditions that reject empathy entirely in favor of a strict authoritarian deity who craves honor, war, and aggression. Some of these sin of empathy people are actually not believers in the Christian God at all, and simply want to subvert the church. Others do believe, but are moving into a more radical view of their own religion, as they recognize that Jesus' teachings do indeed include forgiveness, and they have yet to fully complete that thought.
Sorry, I just, I don't know, I like bringing up faith, because amazing it is. It does soften my edges. Faith does soften my edges.
Yeah. It does, absolutely, yeah.
And I don't think that's like a negative thing. I can understand where they come from. They walk on quality, but
dumb.
You know,
dumb to go empathy is a sin. To feel bad for someone when they fall over, or like, that's just dumb.
Yeah, it's.
You're telling me you don't feel bad if you see like a dead bird lying on the edge of the road. Like you feel bad when you see roadkill. Doesn't mean I'm going to knock down the motorway, but like you can feel bad.
Yeah. But also, it's like, okay, the whole what you said earlier about someone falling down. All right, let's say I've got my son. He falls over.
No, that's actually my weakness is kids falling.
really funny.
Kids hurting themselves is the most hilarious thing ever.
Okay. Sometimes I'm going to help him up and tend
Yeah.
to him. Other time I'm saying like, up, self. You got to deal with these sort of struggles.
Oh no,
Life has
come
this.
on. If your kid falls over, you're just gonna help him up, and then you're gonna say, watch where you're walking next time.
I don't know.
But you're not gonna
What if the
sit
kid
there
had
and
it
go,
coming?
help yourself up.
I don't want to learned helplessness towards my children. You know, I don't want them to be completely
It's
reliant
not
upon me.
helplessness to teach a kid to get up. But like, if they like sit on the floor crying, you're gonna help them up.
Yes, I
aren't you?
will. I mean, unless they're throwing a tantrum, like, I'm not feeding into your
The
attention.
main thing with learned helplessness is like you just don't make a big deal out of it. Like 9 times out of 10, when a kid falls over, they'll just get back up and they'll carry on. They won't even notice it. They'll start crying when you go, "Oh my god, are you okay?" Then they'll go,
Oh, I've got to feel something. I've got to feel bad about this. They've
"I've
just
got to make.
ignored it.
Oh wait, I should be crying."
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if babies just don't feel pain. They're just doing it just to
And
get
then
reaction out of us.
And then when you pick a kid up, you're like, "Oh, come on, you're fine. Come on, right? Get back in there. Like, you're fine. You're good. You're good." Like 9 times out of 10. But like, you would feel bad if they actually hurt themselves.
Yeah, but like if a kid screams, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to cradle him and walk him the rest of the way home.
Of course not. But I'm also not going to say deal with it yourself, matey.
No, what you do is you think that hurts to trip him up again. That's how it really hurts.
Let me show you what real pain is.
Drop kick him or something.
But once again, because the Nazis had an incredible
Sorry.
I'll pick kids falling over and so somebody might not say that. Shall we pose ourselves and get back into the video?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's
lack of empathy, as well as their weird anti-Christian occult beliefs. Lacking empathy at all apparently makes you a fascist. To anybody who is not insane and not ideologically captured one way or the other, there is obviously a middle ground here. Yes, toxic empathy is real. Empathy can be weaponized to get you to comply with stuff that is terrible by tugging on your heartstrings. Yes, if you lack empathy entirely, you'll also do stuff that is terrible by having you completely disregard the humanity of others. Both extremes are bad. Once again, the centrist is right. The golden mean wins. It always wins, guys. It's important to be empathetic. It's just as important to not let your empathy control you and to not let yourself be manipulated by it. However, if we dig down even deeper, it's actually pretty easy to find examples that go completely counter to the heat map meme, even though both the left and the right accept it as accurate. Remember, the meme says that the left has more empathy and the right has less empathy. The left views themselves as morally superior and the right as sociopathic. The right views themselves as realistic and the left as naive. And yet, there are many examples where, against the meaning of the meme, the left has a complete lack of empathy and disregards others, while the right actually employs toxic empathy in order to manipulate others.
I mean, that is on a case-by-case basis, I think, and I think, yeah, as you said about the manipulating thing, I think it's more on right will use toxic empathy to win. It's like leftists playing righteous at their own game and winning, and vice versa. Do it.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like a tactic to win. They'll use.
Yeah, it's a tactic. It's not a true.
Also, the left will lack empathy for the right as well,
and vice versa.
Yeah,
they view them as every single position they have is wrong.
And then conservatives will go, we're morally superior because we're more empathetic to Christians or something than you are, to family values than you are. Yeah.
Then like even what we got now, like let's say I'm the conservative and you're the liberal. Right? You can say to me, "Oh, you care more about you care more about your friends than you do about my world." I'm like, I care about family, so therefore I care about the future. Therefore, I care more because I care about all people in the future, and you care only about now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Again, it's meaningless. Why? Because it's made up in our minds. The reaction we get biologically to try and make things more just.
Survival instincts. Yeah.
My headphones are coming through only one ear. Oops. Go again for a second.
Hello?
Fuck it, I'll just deal with it.
No, what do you mean? I mean, I'm having to reload my thing anyway, so you might as well. Try and fix it.
Look at the...
Hello? All right.
The stream is. You talk now, please.
As professional as it gets. Aren't you deaf in one ear? Hello?
I hear you.
I said, aren't you deaf in one ear, though? Hello?
Dear God,
Can you
I mean, I just want to listen.
Can you hear me
I
at
want to listen
all?
to Charlie's beautiful voice.
Can you hear me? Oh, so sad.
Good to deal with it. Deal with
Can you hear me?
only for me.
Can you hear me?
Oh no, I can't hear you at all. Because I muted myself. That's why. The entire time, I bet it worked as well. I just muted it.
Right, yeah. Did it work? I was saying, Sid, the whole time, aren't you deaf in one ear?
No. Yes, I am. That it was. This year's coming through, and then
That might be why you're not hearing out of one ear.
this year is coming out just static. Video is fine.
Right. Okay.
Would you mind joining and rejoining the call?
Yeah. Sure. Hello.
There you are. You're fixed. Okay, it was you. Never mind. I win. Yet again. I win again.
It's not a competition, man.
But if it was,
Jeez.
I won. Let's start up again. Sorry about that.
If I knew it was a competition, I would have tried harder.
Let's begin with that first one, since it's actually easier to understand.
I can't
The
hear
left has taken up empathy towards drug users as well
There's a video. Watch together is so awful.
as healthcare failing. Decriminalizing drugs will free people from unnecessary
Hey, man, your thing.
But can you hear something?
Yeah, I can hear it.
government restrictions, until easier to understand. The left has taken up empathy towards drug users as one of its big moral pushes. Addiction is not a moral failing, it's a healthcare failing. Decriminalizing drugs will free people from unnecessary government restrictions on their lives, that sort of thing. And yet, whether it's Jordan Peterson coming down from a benzo addiction, or Elon Musk and ketamines, whatever the case may be, if the addict is a person the left is opposed to politically, their morality goes completely out the window. Or how?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good thing. I mean, but then again, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to go, I don't like you, but I'm here to help you out? Should you always extend an arm out to your enemy?
Also, it's important to tell the difference between a joke and real life. If Elon Musk said, like, I'm entering rehab for my ketamine addiction, then I would feel for him, right? However, if it was like right now where he just looks like an idiot half the time, I'm going to go, he looks like he's high on ket.
Okay, but do you think that everyone on your side, quotation marks, will be the same of having empathy? And others not, other people within the left who root for his death?
Yeah, probably. Absolutely, there are.
And so those on the right, would also want his death. Oh, probably, I think so. No,
yeah.
He is South African.
Well, see, this is the problem with Elon Musk. Oh, actually, let's not go into Elon Musk. Screw that. Too much
You
Elon
have two
Musk.
sentences. No more.
Okay. Problem is, he's screwed himself over politically by leaning to the right wing because he makes electric cars and he's an immigrant.
That's the first one. That's the entire thing.
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
True that. But a man's got to do what he believes.
Sid, your sentence was so much better than mine, man. What am I even doing here? You could just sit here and go, true that on your own.
All about empathy towards people with depression or ADHD, or victims of abuse, people with autism, whatever, as opposed to those apparently immoral, sociopathic right-wingers who think the victim should just get over it. However, whenever somebody's autism or abuse triggers or whatever leads to that individual saying or doing or believing something that is not progressive, all of the left's tolerance and understanding completely vanishes. That depth of understanding closes up when it leads to a politics that the left rejects.
I did not like this quote from a right-wing coach. I follow them on Twitter. I'm not happy with this.
What is it?
So do you remember that kid? I think his name was Daniel. She says in the community note, Stacey Daniel was a 13-year-old child with cancer. He was given an honorary title by the president in the like Secret Service, I think.
That's lovely.
And
that's so cute.
Right-wing Cope messaged photo and said, hey, at Doge, I have a DEI hire to report.
Right, yeah.
And of course, right-wing cope are there to like mock the right.
Yeah,
I'm like, disagree with Doge or whatever. Like, the 13-year-old cancer, and he's given an honorary title. He's not getting money or anything. I get it's still a joke, but like,
yeah.
can we not have empathy for this boy?
Yeah, we shouldn't be
I've seen the
making
videos
jokes
of him.
about a kid with cancer. Yeah, we shouldn't be making jokes about a kid with cancer.
Who was it that said, to find out who oppresses you, understand which of the people you're not allowed to joke about. All by them.
It becomes a shallow, surface-level analysis of assuming bigotry. Probably the most obvious example of this I can think of is when Sweet Anita, a streamer with Tourette's, involuntarily said "gas the Jews" on stream, and leftists brigaded her channel and temporarily got it taken down because she was apparently a Nazi. Speaking of
Hard one. Rex, though. I assume she would have said that. I'm ending stream.
Right, sorry, it's broken for me and it's just kept speaking. No, it's fine. I reloaded it again. Yeah, that's a really difficult one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
because also it's not okay to say that. I think there is a thing with Tourette's, right? Of like what is and isn't okay to say. You know, can someone with Tourette's just like shout out the M-word and then be like, "Oh, but I've got Tourette's." You know, like
again,
I don't know.
Context. If they're doing it with a grin on their face afterwards, I got away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's context, but also like I don't know.
They're not doing it on purpose.
I don't know because you do.
The whole point of it is that they're saying things that they do not want to say.
Yeah, do not want to say. Yeah. To be honest, I think it depends about what comes with it as well. If she said something like that and then went, "Oh shit, sorry, shouldn't have said that. My bad." Tourette's.
I bet she
just went, "Oh fuck my Tourette's, man." Then valid. But if she then just like ignored it, it's like you can't just ignore saying that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd say the opposite. There's consciousness you don't want to say.
Yeah.
How I think Tourette works. Don't remember.
I think
do not say these things because he's wrong. These are bad.
Yeah.
This is not.
We can like filter what we want to say, like neurotypicals can.
I've just gotten from them. They think gas in the juice. You know what I mean?
Well, if they say other words are bad, you know.
Yeah.
If they're like if they say like, gas the Jews, shit, don't say that, fuck, idiot, it's something like that. Then like, sure, right? Don't beat yourself up over that, right? It's like an intrusive thought that you can't not say.
If that happens, does she just have to get graded by people?
No.
No.
Of course not. But also, you can't just say what you want and go, "But I've got Tourette's."
Yeah.
Use
it.
Yeah. Nazis. That whole punch a Nazi thing is a prime example of all the left's apparent empathetic superiority being sucked out of the room. There's never any attempt to understand the Nazi, to get to know him, to realize that maybe he holds these terrible beliefs because he was abused as a kid, or his family life was fucked up, or he's poor, or whatever. Free speech for a long time was a leftist virtue until it wasn't. Bodily autonomy is a leftist virtue until it isn't. The reason that tired joke phrase, "so much for the tolerant left," became a right-wing meme until it was beaten into the ground is because throughout the 2010s it became obvious that leftists don't actually have much more empathy than rightists. They simply claim that they do. And of course, this whole thing operates in...
Agree with that? I think that
Honestly, I'm going to say no. I think generally slightly more left-wing people will have a bit more empathy, mainly towards strangers. But I don't think that feeling more empathy to strangers makes you morally superior. I think it just means you grew up with like different things and different values. I don't think caring about like foreigners or strangers or something makes you superior.
Yeah, I was going to say I disagree.
Yeah,
maybe
because I just think like because if you go, oh yeah, we should care about like people in like the sub-Sahara, like Africa, that are going to die from climate change, versus you're someone who says, I don't care about it, I'll probably say the person that cares about it is more empathetic. Doesn't make them a better person or like morally superior. Because also, the problem with saying I'm morally superior because I'm more empathetic is then I'm not being empathetic towards you. Because I'm just going, you're a bad person for not believing what I believe, which makes you bad. And that's not empathy. That you then have zero empathy for that other person.
You know what? I am going to find. I disagree.
Cool.
Similar levels.
Mm.
Right, we're going to. But
yeah,
the left wing's visible.
Yeah.
Allocate your empathy to family. If I'm not in the family, I'm not going to. If I can be less empathetic.
Yeah. That can be true. Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas
yeah.
I am more likely to see the empathy left wing. Then doesn't mean that me seeing it means it's better. If anything, I'd say the opposite. I think people who seek out praise for being empathetic is misusing empathy.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, there's either going to be a very, very minor left-wing sway or none at all.
Yes.
My most common bet would probably be there isn't a sway at all. I might have a slight leaning towards being left-wing's more empathetic, but that's also just because being left-wing aligns with my values. And therefore,
you view them to be empathetic.
Going to believe your own values are empathetic.
Yes.
Right? You're not going to believe, my values are nice and selfish. I love them because it hates on everyone else. Like, you're going to go, I've got good values. I'm a good moral person.
Yes.
Yeah. In reverse for the rightists as well. They talk about their more realistic and grounded allocations of morality, and yet they'll still make moral judgments towards you if you do what a person with a small moral circle would actually do. Some of the stuff is obviously just memeing, like when the right-wing pundit account, Libs of TikTok, got faux offended at leftists dead-naming the Gulf of America. Yeah, I get the joke. But it's not all memes, there's some real outrage here. Even though Libs of TikTok made their name mocking the excesses of trans weirdos online, they're now outraged that a leftist dares to mock RFK and his spasmodic dysphonia condition. How dare you! Dude, what the fuck is this pearl-clutching bullshit? You're Libs of fucking TikTok. Your whole thing is making fun of people. If this were a right-wing TikToker mocking Biden for being old or whatever, you'd be laughing your ass off. Suddenly not giving a shit about people outside of your moral circle is a sin on the right? Since fucking when? Not according to the heat maps. Oh, apparently liberals are sick, evil people for mocking J.D. Vance's mom's addiction problems? Hey, hold on. How many times have right-wing accounts posted pictures of streets filled with homeless drug addicts, talking about how they're a social blight and need to be cleaned up?
I'm going to push back on. Those videos of showing that there's a problem overall with and being a social blight, they need to. But mocking individuals or addiction problems, not empathy. And if I was a video, it was like, but the problem. They're not mocking them, saying these are bad people.
No, they are. They do. No, they do mock them, and they do like target them individually. I think the point he's making there is like the left wing are willing to make fun of a drug addict as long as it's JD Vance's mum, but also the right wing are saying no, don't make fun of drug addicts when that's what they do. Like, it's just the roles have completely reversed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair. But you understand what I was coming up with my.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, saying homelessness is an issue doesn't mean you're not empathetic towards homeless people. But if you say homeless people are a blight, that implies that the people are the issue, not like the fact that they're homeless is the issue. It does a little bit. So, like, if you see a police officer that are like moving along a homeless person, being like, "You can't stay here," that doesn't fix homelessness, but it does fix the video of it going, oh, there's too many homeless people on this street, right. Kind of thing. So it's like, what's your solution for those too many homeless people? Is it let's give them some shelter, or is it let's kick them out, or let's kill them? What's your solution for it? Depending on your solution is whether it's empathetic or not.
I mean, I want the heroin enjoyers off the street too, but now suddenly it's too far to talk about this shit when it's somebody on your side? How many right-wingers mocked Ryan Carson, a guy who was murdered because, ironically, he was a left-wing white BLM activist who was stabbed to death defending his girlfriend from the exact type of crazy homeless black dude he spent his life advocating for? Well,
okay, well, I'm going to...
No, but he was probably like, he was probably like sticking up like, no, we don't need to like, you know, like kick them off our streets and stuff. We should look after them and their people too. I'm guessing that's why people like made fun of him.
Is it poetic justice?
No, of course not. It's horrible to suggest.
Yeah, it's right to mock the death of.
Yeah. So then but then the left did the exact same thing with that insurance guy, that got killed, the Luigi guy that killed him.
Yeah, that's pretty. I was thinking in my head that quite a different level, but are people still trusting?
Yeah, exactly. Like being happy that someone's died is just bad, kind of irrelevant. Yeah.
Still living.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just not getting into it. Not going to get into it. How about that?
Such a debate.
Not do it. I don't know enough.
Also, because my core tribalism kicks in.
That too, I guess.
Okay, none of us knew who Ryan Carson was. The heat map says he's not a part of our moral constituency after all. Since he's outside of our moral consideration, right-wingers made fun of him endlessly. But did anyone on the right apply that same standard to Corey Comparator when he was murdered at the Trump rally? Did anyone realize that he wasn't within their moral circles either, despite his martyrdom? Did anyone bring up the heat maps then? No, of course not. The most egregious, widespread weaponization of toxic empathy on the right, though, is with regards to the war in Ukraine. Just to be clear, since I haven't spoken too much about this topic on my channel, Russia invaded Ukraine, Russia's the aggressor, Ukraine's the defender, Ukraine has an obvious right to defend themselves like any other country does, and both, per the terms of the Budapest Memorandum, and just the moral thing to do, is for the West to assist Ukraine by giving them weapons. If you talk to most right-wingers about this topic, you'll get one of two replies. The first one is they don't want their tax dollars being funneled into Ukraine. America just can't afford it and the money should be spent at home. Personally, I disagree with this. Not because I'm not American, since this logic applies to Canada and the UK and any other country that's currently funding Ukraine, but because...
Well, like, you can understand where they're coming.
Yeah, kind of. If you're really like anti-tax money being spent. But the classic things to do with a right-winger is say, where would you rather it be spent? Because what you find out is basically right-wingers just aren't happy with money being spent. So it's kind of like, cool, so it's irrelevant that it's being spent on Ukraine. Because you won't like it being spent on the welfare state or on pensions.
All right, but I think what they would probably say in response is, I don't want it to be spent. I want the money in the first place.
So, yeah, sure. But then that's just an argument about big state versus little state. And that kind of... But my point is it becomes irrelevant of spending it on Ukraine, and the issue is just spending.
Yes.
Like, it's not on Ukraine that's the issue, whereas people are like, we shouldn't be spending it on foreign countries. It's like, okay, name where you would like it to go in domestic spending. Oh, well, it shouldn't be spent. It shouldn't be taxed. Okay, then your issue is with the spending, not with it being on Ukraine.
Not where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the West didn't actually supply that much money. They overwhelmingly gave old weapons. The counterpoint to that from the right is, well, we still need to spend tax dollars to resupply our own stock of weapons then. And yeah, fair enough. But my counter to that counter is that in reality, those taxes are a jobs program, baby. It's American engineers and workers making those new weapons at American companies. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, so like most of it, it's not like we're sending direct bank transfers over to Zelensky. Like, yeah, we'd be supplying ammunitions and stuff. And then basically all that's doing is propping up our military industrial complex. Yeah. Which creates jobs.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to be the guy who's too woke here, but I don't know. I don't think I'm the biggest fan.
Fucking love it.
Raytheon.
Start the engines up, boys. Let's get making.
Me, but okay, fine. America can't afford it. Stop sending money to Ukraine. They now unfortunately have to fend for themselves. I don't agree, but at least I understand the position. The second one, however, is fucking crazy. Apparently, according to some right-wingers, wanting to fund Ukraine's defense is somehow prolonging the war, and you must be a bloodthirsty warmonger because you want to force more people to die by allowing Ukraine to defend itself. Of course, the war would end if Russia simply went home. That is the easiest path to peace. Ukraine's not going to march into Russia after them and keep the fight on. But that's not happening, we all know it. The only way you can possibly believe that funding Ukraine's defense leads to more death is if you believe that the alternative, a quick, decisive victory for the Russians, leads to less death. That's only the case if Russian rule would not lead to the extermination of Ukrainians, which historically has not been the case anytime Ukraine was under Russian control. The rightoids know all about the Holodomor. They've been beating the communists with it for years. But for some reason, they've also conveniently forgotten that the Holodomor is a part of a historic trend between Russia and Ukraine, and that there would obviously be more death if Ukraine lost the war. So much for those fabled pattern recognition skills, fellas. But okay, according to at least some part of the right, if you fund the war, even if that means that you fund the defender against the aggressor, you are necessarily cheering at violence and death and you're masturbating over corpses or whatever. This is the same toxic empathy style logic that leftists have employed when they said that Kyle Rittenhouse was a murderer for defending himself, or that homeowners or business owners don't need the Second Amendment, because property is never more important than human lives, guys. And if you happen to read the act...
What do you think? It was a quick one. I think property will ever be more...
No, but I think it's the Mott and Bailey thing. It's kind of irrelevant. Property isn't more important than human life, sure, but should you be able to defend yourself if someone's breaking and entering your property? Yes.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
Should you be able to they walk into your garden, bam? No, but like, if they're a random stranger that breaks through the window and comes at me, should I be allowed to swing? Yes. You know, like.
Please, I'm just going to say something. Please, at any point, interrupt me and tell me you agree with me.
Yeah.
I believe I and all others have been body and bodily autonomy from within that. And my body is able to do one thing, is to create labour. And
Sure.
I view this labour as an extension of my person. It comes from my body. And this labour is then used to gain material things which I view as an extension of my body as well.
Right. Yeah.
Are you still with me on that?
Yeah, I can fully see where you're going. I don't know if I agree with you, but yeah, I fully see.
It's closer to a finger than a heart, of course, in terms of how vital it is for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you were to value
it's an extension of your work, right? So it's an extension of you. Yeah.
But if you, the robber, you value my property to such high regard that you're willing to risk your life, necessarily lowering your value of over it, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're the one putting your body at a lower value than my stuff because you're willing to risk your body over it. You understand that that's what the issue is. It's the bad person for valuing your life less. You values your life less than my stuff.
Yeah.
You are the one to do this.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you can understand where I'm coming from. You may not agree with me completely.
Yeah. Yeah. I follow you.
I'm not sure if I 100% agree with this, but this is the best way I'm able to understand what feels right.
Sure. Yeah.
Actual posts of right-wing accounts that specifically make the Mo Forever War claim, not the we can't afford it claim, you will find that they also employ toxic empathy, despite being right-wing and not left-wing. They're saying that if you want to see Ukraine successfully defend itself, that means more death. And how dare you not care about the deaths of Russians and Ukrainians halfway around the world, who are on a completely different continent? And how dare you not just completely give up your morals and do what I tell you, all in the name of preventing more deaths of strangers? The rightoids are browbeating their opponents with their supposed moral superiority stemming from their consideration of people outside of their own local sphere on the heat map. Ukrainians are not within this red circle for American right-wingers. It's toxic fucking empathy all the way down. Let's end with some cringe to cap it all off. This UK lefty said, "The power of this image is its simplicity. It makes us feel uncomfortable, and it should." Attaching a picture that, I don't know, looks like it might be one of those overhead advertisements in a subway, you know what I mean? Anyway, this is the school to prison pipeline, apparently.
This person, Canadian, I think, they don't know wonders the tube map, honestly.
On the main track, you've got a student who's sent to detention, he's isolated, he's excluded, he eventually drops out of school, and he ends up as a criminal going to prison. The proposed path is instead of punishing with detention, you give a problem student empathy and support, and he'll be successful, as if empathy is simply a resource bar to fill up in a person like food or sleep or whatever. If you just feed him empathy, he'll function properly or something. It couldn't be the case that some students actually...
Kind of. I mean, as like a supply teacher myself, and someone who wants to go into teaching, I think, I don't know, empathy does help a lot with kids because a lot
definitely helps.
Yeah, because a lot of the time what they need is someone that understands them, but also you can give them a detention and still feel empathy for them.
Can't
and
fix all issues with empathy though.
No, and sometimes kids also need to have stuff like detentions be sent home. Like punishments are also needed.
Sometimes kids are just dicks.
Yeah, all the time almost.
People just need to know this and realize it sometimes.
Yeah.
Need discipline. No, never use the stick. Only infinitely more carrots. The stick is fascist. No, just feed him more.
For me. Never work.
But yeah, life is about managing stick and carrot approaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, it should be good.
No, just feed him more empathy and he'll function properly. If he doesn't, feed him even more. Of course, reality is far more complicated, and one-size solutions almost never actually fit all. It's true that some people would just be better off had they been shown empathy instead of exclusion. A lot of bullied people end up being bullies themselves and making new bullies. A lot of abused people end up being abusers themselves and making new abusers. Some people are actually good, but they're down on their luck, and they truly would be able to flourish if you give them a shot. Some people might not actually be lonely or bitter or filled with rage if the world simply treated them a bit more fairly. This kind of thing does actually happen all the time. However, other people do actually just use the kindness of strangers as a tool to get what they want. Some of them are exploiters who suck you dry and move on. Some of them have fundamentally different moral systems than you. Your empathy will be the weakness they use to impose their will on you. And some others are just too damaged to ever be functional, and they'll end up burning you down with them. Not everyone is the stereotype of a blameless victim of society who deep down is just like you and happens to want what you want. Some people are actually just your enemy, whether you recognize them as such or not. As for how you tell the difference between the two, well, neither extreme works for the reasons we've discussed in this video. You could always be empathetic every single time and get completely destroyed. You could never be empathetic and then never make any friends or have any people around you, and watch your heat map get smaller and smaller and smaller as people move on. The heat map meme itself is funny, but it doesn't actually help. The people who posted it aren't even reading it correctly, and they don't understand how in many ways they're actually the same as the people they're making fun of, as soon as you switch the political alignments around. The best chance you've got is wisdom, life experience, building up a quality of character that allows you to judge whether or not the homeless guy shaking a cup at you is going to buy drugs with that money, or is actually going to use it to get his life on track. Partisans might claim to have an easy answer, they always do, but like most things, when you really consider it outside of the scope of memes or ideology or incompleted thoughts, there is no easy answer. Cultivate a good sense of character that will allow you to judge other people's intentions at least somewhat accurately, regardless of whether you're close to them or not. That will serve you much better in life than some meme shit about who you're considered close to. After all, sometimes your friends or family just fucking suck.
So, that was the video. What did you think of that conclusion? I think the guy definitely has a lean more towards the right, but always will come to middle ground solutions.
Yeah, I think he wasn't just like a partisan hack at all.
No, it was definitely, and I agreed with their final point of, it's a carrot and stick thing. You got to do a bit of each and see what works, and you can't one size fits all everything. Sadly, not. So much easier if we could. Good lord.
Exactly. Yeah. I wish we could. All right. I'm gonna go make a cup of tea if that's all right.
Let's do some more stuff, or should we end the stream?
It's up to you. I mean, I'm good to keep going, but
I haven't.
If you want
yet.
to. Oh.
8 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, man, go eat.
Can we do some final thoughts about this toxic empathy thing as a whole? More than just video. I think it's a good video. I mean, I liked the fact that they always would show sources for everything. That was quite nice.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Final conclusion on this toxic empathy thing. Do you think is a real thing? First off.
Yeah. I definitely think people use empathy as like a kind of weapon. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely think it's real, and both sides will use it. Both sides will claim that they're better. Like, yes, the Conservatives will go, yes, I think that having my empathy is smaller in scope, more impactful for the individual people than that. Left is like, we are everyone. Therefore, they're better. And both sides are, again, six of this, a dozen of the other. They're both equal. Because equal means the same. They are both comparable. Like that. How it's comparable.
Yeah,
They're
comparable.
very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very different. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think also the toxic empathy does have a lot of Moss and Bailey elements to it as well.
Yeah, it does. It just is kind of like, oh yeah, I care about deaths. Do you not? Then yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I do. That doesn't mean I support like the surrender of every side ever.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was talking about war, and I was like, basically, they were like, I was kept trying to say like, if in war is this moral? Like, no, why not? War is always immoral, so any action on the war is immoral. I'm like, right, you're correct. Not like war.
Of course, war isn't wanted, but that doesn't mean like you should avoid it at all costs and never do anything about it once you're in a war.
Once I got that opinion out of them, I then try to convince him with it. Remember, I think we talked about this before. Remember how I said that if it is true that war breeds innovation.
Yeah.
And if it is true that eventually innovation will lead to a point where no human will have any suffering, isn't it therefore moral to make sure we're always engaged in a war? I don't believe it, and I think it's a good thing something to think about. Definitely. So I think I'm going to leave that stream on that note. Anyone who watches back on this, I think
it's not bad. It's not a bad note. It's not a bad note.
But thank you very much for everyone who's come. Thank you, of course, Charlie, for joining me, and me for joining you, because we do it together.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for
50-50 on this. Do you think? I think maybe next week, next time we do it, we'll try to do something more topical. But I think this is topical enough as well. So again, it's not a pressing issue.
Honestly, you know what? I kind of like it a little bit. I think we're not here to be like the news. Do you know what I mean?
No. You know, we've
like
got a week
it.
to think about. We've got
We
a week to find something good.
Some weeks we can be more topical, some weeks less. But like, I don't want to just let's break down the news. Like, I had a lot of fun today because it wasn't relevant to just the news. Yeah. But also it was just more kind of conversational. It wasn't like, right, politics. I want specific issues on each political idea. You know. Yeah.
So probably try and be back here again next week, same time next week. See the thing. We are both in dissertation season.
I have an S. No, I'm not. I've not got a diss.
Oh yes, I'm in dissertation season. I shouldn't be doing.
I've got an essay and an exam due. Exam to do and an essay due on the Friday, so I will have to
see my availability as well during the Easter break as well.
If not, we might be able to just do some other point in the week, or and over Easter we'll just work out like sometime during the week.
All right, I think we should end it here.